You should just write something mean about Nick on it every time it comes by and let him figure out what it is.
Nick looks weirdly shiny.
Nick is shiny.
It's because I have this oil that I like to put on my face now. It's called self-care. Ever heard of it?
No.
It makes me smell like a baby, I think, but I love the way it feels. And you know what? That's one small victory in my day.
Is it made from babies?
I hope not. It's called Progress, and it's from Sheer Revival, which is a company, I think, out in Jersey. And I was just like, oh, cool. The guy who owns it is a guitar player and plays some of my pedals.
And he makes beauty products.
Yes. And so we kind of like did like a little tradesies kind of thing.
Nice.
And I opened it up. I'm like, what would I ever use like face oil for? And then I put it on and I was like, I get it now. I don't know if it actually does anything, but I feel better having done it. I'm like one step away from Christian Bale in American Psycho. Like I'm going to have like the eye mask. Ice
you don't
pack.
use alcohol because it dries out the skin and makes you appear older.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. No. Yeah, I'm at the point in my age I'm at the age where anything I can do to retain my youth.
Yeah,
I got to work out. I got to work at it. Yeah.
I'm a 42-year-old man with blue hair. What do you? I mean, I'm just hanging on with like fingernails.
We still got it. We're still here. I even have I have pins on my jacket because I'm a punk and youthful and excited about stuff.
And then like younger kids aren't as punk. Like that's like a thing of like our generation more. I think like we're like it's like hippies. They're not young people anymore. They're old people. Like we're like I feel like punk is like more. I mean, punks. There's old punks too, but I feel like that era is like
it kind of fell off. It's a different thing now, you know. So it's just trying to let the kids know that I'm still a cool music kind of guy, you know?
So this is Brian from B's Music Shop, and I'm here with Nick from Oneder Effects.
Howdy. It's good to be back.
We just screw around now because you're close, so we just talk all the time.
I'm only about an hour away.
Yeah.
And it's like a nice little drive. I can listen to some podcasts, maybe some rock music.
Yeah.
And nice way to decompress and hang out with other people. I don't hang out with people very much. I work alone. So it's nice. Yeah, it's nice seeing y'all.
I just spend my time in this room a lot. That's what I do. I'm in here a lot.
This is a good place to be. You're surrounded by amps and guitars and cameras and microphones. That's kind of where I am too when I'm not at my workbench. My studio is very similar, you know, just a little bit of a smaller scale since I'm kind of slowly figuring out the video thing, but guitars and amps surrounding you, even if I'm not getting to play them, I feel like I've done something with my life.
I have a lot of these that like I don't even turn them on that often, but I'm just like emotionally attached to them. Like that Guild was like amp in a band I was in for a long time, and like I just can't get rid of it, and I never will. So I get that. You
know, some people had like the formal living room in their house where no one was allowed to sit in like the nice chairs or use the nice table. That's what a lot of my amps are. And the people are allowed to use them if they wanted to, if I had any friends. But
see, this is where these all used to be before you know what this was before it became our video studio?
No, what was this room?
It was a vape store.
Oh, really?
This was a vape store.
Oh, excellent. That's why I feel so good right now.
Yeah. This whole room has popcorn lung, I think.
Wow, great.
You know, speaking of beauty products, did you see the make a clone?
Yeah, the Nauticlon.
The Nauticlon, that was what it was.
Love it. I don't know.
I almost bought one. I got really close. I was like, and then it was like not soldering, and I'm like, I have solder kits. Like I have like 15 like clone kits in the shop upstairs that I haven't finished. And I go, if I buy a kit and then finish it just because I'm too lazy to solder in like 20 resistors, I'm like, I'll just feel stupid. So I'm gonna skip it.
I feel like that would be something I would buy if it didn't sell out so fast for my kid to do.
Yeah,
like,
I saw that. It was a big kid thing.
Yeah, for a 6-year-old to be able to potentially put that together with my help, I think he would be super pumped. And yeah, it was just such a genius move to put that out. You know, like
a goop.
Yeah, well, goop, it's a funny gimmick.
Yeah.
Klon, very popular. DIY, incredible. Right before the holidays, it ties it all up and goes, this is going to be the best gift/hype thing of the season.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, so I was happy to see it from like a pedal company owner perspective. I'm just like, I see you.
Yeah.
Good job there. That was great.
I like when people encourage the DIY community. I feel like some people like gatekeep it a little bit and be like, don't do this. And then there's other people who are like, you can make pedals. Like we make pedals, you can make pedals. You know.
Well, I even got gate kept when I started because I built a kit that my friend made. Like that's what got me into pedal building in the first place. You know, his pedal company, Camel Tone Electronics. He sent me his pedal and said, here's the board, here's a video on how to do it. And then, honestly, shortly after that, I got the bug and I was like, I'm going to start my own pedal company and I'm going to figure it out. And, you know, of course, there's people like, oh, well, you don't know how the circuit works. Like, you don't know how to do it from scratch if you had to do it point to point. And now I'm just like, I'm so glad I didn't listen to those people. And I'm glad I just followed my heart. Like, cool, if you want to learn every single thing about electrical engineering and how to, you know, make whatever from scratch with your eyes closed, that's awesome. But I'm a busy person and I really wanted to make pedals and I was able to dive in super headfirst and find some great people. So yeah, I mean, even putting together a solderless pedal kit, that might get someone the bug to be like, now I want to actually solder something myself, learn how to solder, learn what all the parts do. And, you know, over the years, I am learning a ton. It's awesome. Even this year, I've had some complete spirals into freaking out about why something doesn't work. I'm like texting you, I think this whole time, none of my pedals have worked. And then you're like, but you know, that's not true. And I'm like, yeah.
It's like a lot of people like them. A lot of people who are picky ass guitar players, you know, enjoy them. And, you know, and I think I told you, like, I know in the industry of people who said virtually the same thing or, you know, had someone tell me that they were fixing a pedal for someone that was in the same scenario for you where they were at their wits' end, couldn't figure it out, and they had hired another pedal builder to come in to solve a problem that they were up against. And I was like, dude, this happened. This means you're on the path and it's part of it. You know?
It is absolutely part of it. In like every industry, there's someone who's going to get you on a better path than you were. You're not going to just be on that perfect path right away. And yeah, you know, I was even talking to my wife and I'm like, hey, there's something about this pedal and this pedal that has been going on for years under my nose and I didn't even know. And now I'm super stressed out and I got to fix it, make it better, tweak it, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, oh, did a bunch of people email you and like send them back? Yeah. And I was like, no one did.
I asked you that too. I was like, are people complaining? You're like, no one's complaining.
I'm like, I had a couple questions about what power supply to use. And, you know, like one kid, you know, was using a Sega power supply, which apparently has come up a few times, like in my pedal builder Discord. Like we're seeing more and more like video game system barrels being shoved into pedals. Imagine your pedal did that when you plug that in. That'd be incredible. If we could do a collab with like a Sonic pedal.
One of my secret projects does a secret thing like that, and now I'm kind of regretting that it doesn't do that.
It's gotta. Yeah,
I gotta do a pedal that does that. And then, you know, it's gonna get popular with somebody in like a major label, and they're gonna go into like plug their board in, and like, you know, some arena's gonna go.
That'd be incredible. Like imagine during like a live concert, like someone has to quickly unplug and plug in a pedal to get the power working again, and there's so many startup sounds you could do, like the old Windows 95.
Yeah.
And, I wonder if any of that is, like, it's like 4 seconds of sound. I wonder if that's copyrighted. Probably is.
Probably. You know, that reminds me, I saw one time, I went and saw, do you remember Edgar Winter's, I might have told this story before, but you ever remember Edgar Winter's White Trash, where it was like him and Johnny Winter and Rick Derringer had like a band in the 70s. They toured together and did this thing. So about 10 years ago, when they were all still around, or Johnny Winter was still alive, they came here to the casino. And, you know, I'd worked as a stagehand a lot, and I was like, I'm not going to work this show. I'm going to, like, go. So I bought tickets, and I was like, you know, I loved some of the records as a kid, just like those old blues records or bluesy. And Rick Derringer played first, and every time he wasn't playing a note, his guitar went, meh! So he's playing, and it's just howling in between.
Yeah.
And, like, he's, like, bitching on the mic at, like, I wish these people would get it together, and I'm sorry for you people. And he's, like, kind of being a dick. And then I literally think, oh, this poor sound guy, you know, and I walk back and I'm kind of like go to get a beer and I kind of peek at the soundboard, and it's not a touring guy, it's a local guy who's one of my friends, and I'm just watching him like this, and he's like got his like hair pulling, and he's just like, you can tell he's just like furious. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not working this show right now. You know, go get my beer, and like, oh, that sucks. And finally, like, a guy I know comes out and like touches the board and does like gets down on his pedal board and does something, and it stops, and then he just shuts up about it. So about 2 weeks later, I'm like, hey man, what was going on with that show? That like horrible howling, and was there what it seemed really weird. He goes, oh, he had a bad cable, he had a problem in his board, and we kept telling him the whole day it was in his board, and he kept saying, no, it's the sound guy, and they were going back and forth, and finally
there's only 2 or 3 things you could really do as a sound person to stop a squealing guitar, and if those things don't work, it's not.
And he was convinced it wasn't him. And somebody finally in the middle of the show got so fed up, they walked out and like unplugged his pedal board, and it stopped. And then they like fixed it right on the floor in like 10 seconds. And then he went on, and he's just like, yep, okay, anyways, here's rock and roll hoochie coo. It's like
that's seriously so frustrating. Because like I was a sound guy when I was younger at like our local venue in Flint. And most of the time it was very easy. Like I didn't understand much about it, but it was like make sure all the mics work, then they're all in the right places, mix it like you would want to hear the band. Great. And of course, like most DIY all ages venues, your monitors are either non-existent, or they're there and they don't work, or they're there and they are super, super quiet and they're not going to do what you would expect. And I remember I ran sound for some like metal band, and they mostly just played covers for their friends. And they played places like the Machine Shop usually, but they came to play, the Flint Local 432, which was like our, all ages punk space, And I remember just doing the sound, and I was enjoying the show. And then right at the last song, the singer just said, and thanks, to the audience for being so great, but no thanks to the sound guy, because I couldn't hear myself all fucking night, and like threw the microphone down and walked out of the venue. And I'm 16 years old, and I'm like, huh? I thought it was great. Like, why didn't you ask for more vocals? Like, and I was so like rattled. Yeah. And like the older dudes who work at the venue had to be like, dude, you're gonna get way worse than that. Oh yeah. Like one time, there was like a speaker started smoking. Nice. And I was like, okay, this is like out of a movie. What's going on? And like one of the dudes ran to the board and was like looking it all over. And someone had turned
the fire knob?
Yeah, literally, like it must have been a fire knob. It was just cranked all the way. And he was like, what the heck is this doing, blah, blah? And I was like, I definitely didn't do that. Like, someone before me must have been messing around with the board or something. All these little scary things. And yeah, that was kind of cool. I got to meet a lot of people and learn a lot of stuff running sound. Yeah. And it was mostly out of necessity. It wasn't because I loved to run sound. I was someone who kind of knew how to use the board. And they needed me to keep the venue alive, basically, for the night.
I've been there.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I met some cool people. Like, Jay Navarro from the Suicide Machines.
Oh, yeah.
I met him.
He seems super nice.
Oh, yeah, the best. I ran sound for, what was his band back then? He was in quite a few different bands. It might have been Left in Ruin. And I remember them loading in, and I'm running sound. And I'm like, why is the singer of the Suicide Machines here? And of course, I have my band's CD. It was like 2003, 2004. And I'm like, I'm in a punk band. Like, I'm running sound. Here you go. And he's like, oh, cool, man. Thanks. He played the show, and everything went great. And then I went home, and like a week later, I got a phone call, and it was Jay saying, hey, man, it's Jay, Suicide Machines, putting you on the guest list for our Christmas show at Clutch Cargo's, plus, I don't know, Infinity. Bring whoever you want. Okay, nice. Bye. And I thought it was a prank phone call.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why is the singer of the Suicide Machines calling me? How does he have my number? How does he know who I am? So I hit up Joel, who ran the local, who like owned it. And I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, and he goes, oh yeah, Jay asked me for your phone number. He said he was going to give you a call. He really likes your record. He wants you to open them at their next Flint show. And I was like, whoa. So it's like one of those times when you give someone your record that it actually does something. I've given my CDs to so many different people that I've seen, and I always try not to be annoying. I'm always waiting for that opportunity where it makes sense. And yeah, this was one of those times. It was like, cool. Made a friend that I've been homies with for 20 years, played several shows with. We went to that Christmas show. Like, our van was loaded with friends. I brought like 8 or 9 people.
That's awesome.
They looked at me and they were like, yeah, I guess you can all go in. Like, the door people were like, they're like, I don't know what this logo means. It looks like either +8 or +infinity. And I was like, I think it's infinity, but we have 8. So yeah, kind of cool.
That's awesome.
But stressful. Sound guy stuff is stressful. It's different now with all the digital stuff. It's kind of awesome. Like you recall it all.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like every time I met a sound guy who was like grizzled and grumpy, and then like I ran sound a bunch, I was like, yeah, that's how you get that way. Like you just like,
yeah.
I ran like sound once for this band, and I won't say their name because I think they're still running, but they were very like, do you remember The Darkness, how they had that very like throwback to like Def Leppard thing?
Oh yeah.
This was like 3 years after The Darkness had been popular, and they were like doing a similar thing, and they had like tight like pants, and the singer came out and he goes, he's like, I'm feeling sexy as hell and I'm ready to rock. And of course it's like the local venue, and I'm just like, okay, you know, like, and
cool,
he's
but
like,
have fun.
It's like there's just 7 people here. It's like, fine, it's great. Like, I'm glad you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And they just say like, they have like big hair and like headbands, and I'm just like, I was like, oh, this is like a Darkness thing. And we get done and we're like, I'm like moving the monitors and getting set up for the next band, and he goes, so what'd you think? I was like, that was fucking great, man. I'm like, I love like the whole thing's like, that's like a hilarious like the throwback thing. And he's like, the fuck are you talking about?
Oh.
And I'm like,
it wasn't quite a gimmick.
No,
right?
It wasn't a gimmick. It was real. And I was like, oh, I thought this was like a heyday like homage to our idols thing, and we were like saying these cliches because it was hilarious, and like I was like, you really sold it. And then I got done and I realized like I like stuck my foot in my mouth and I was like, the guys are good. I guess you just really love that era, like, you know.
But I mean, even if that was me, if my heart was 100% into like being some 80s rock band, and you came up to me and you were like, that was great, it was hilarious, I loved it, it was a throwback, I'd be like, cool. Yeah. Like, that's how you perceived it? Rad. Like, I don't think I would take offense to that. Like,
well, and like The Darkness, they were like, this is like, we know what we are. You know what I mean? It's
all pro wrestling. Yeah, you know, it's like they know it's not real. They know they're not in the 80s. They know they're not a rock star.
What's that other band? What's that? No, I want to say Faster Pussycat. That's an actual 80s band. There's that one band.
The one that has all the pedals and stuff now. Steel Panther.
Steel Panther. They really took that like to the end of the...
I don't want boogers. I don't want to be booger guy. Yeah, dude, I have a pretty funny, short, uneventful Steel Panther story.
Okay, let's do that.
So my band was in the UK, and we went to some restaurant, and our tour manager kind of said like, oh, hi, and saw another tour manager friend like at the same long table where we were sitting. And it was like kind of these like mopey, like regular looking dudes, and we kind of like waved at them like, hey. And then they ended up leaving, and then our tour manager was like, yeah, that was a Steel Panther. And I knew what Steel Panther looked like. I've never seen Steel Panther at 9 a.m. eating breakfast. And I was like,
Continental fucking.
And I was like, whoa, okay. Like that, all right, like very cool. So I wish I could be, you know, like go back in time and see what they actually all look like, and maybe talk to them, you know, take it in, because they're doing extremely well.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing cool. I'm not really following them, but I peripherally keep like seeing them around.
I see stuff about their gear pop up every now and then, like guitar pedals and like rig rundowns and things like that, and they're a super solid band, like super good time. So,
and it's like the people who, I feel like they're all the people that like love George Lynch and like Dokken, and they're like, I need a new band.
Or if you missed all that, and you know you want something that's active and you want to have a good time. Just saw Metallica.
Yeah.
That was absolutely nuts. I remember like a year ago, I was looking into tickets, and I kind of went, well, this is a long time from now.
Yeah.
These are pretty expensive. I don't know what I'm doing. But I did think Metallica is going to be like my bucket list band that I need to see once. Yeah. And a lot of things in my life lately, I've been like, yeah, I like that, but I'm not like a huge fan. I'm not crazy about it. And then when I experience the thing again, I'm realizing I'm a way bigger fan than I thought.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, Metallica's in town. And it turned out we had a friend who was on their crew doing like film stuff. And I basically was like, I begged my brother, I'm like, can you ask this guy if I can go too? Because I normally don't get jealous and want to piggyback.
Yeah.
But this is kind of something I'm sort of freaking out about. And because my brother went to the Friday show, and then they were also playing on Sunday. And he was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I think the passes are really tight. I don't know if we're going to even know until 2 p.m. 5 p.m. that day rolls around, still nothing. And I'm talking to my brother, and he's like, when's the latest you can know? And I was like, dude, it takes me 2 hours to get to Detroit from where I live pretty much. And I mean, just let me know. I don't have anything going on tonight, just hanging out with the family. And then like 5 minutes later, I get the text, you're in, get down here. And I basically drive to Detroit, meet up with my brother, walk to the side of Ford Field, the stadium. Guy meets us, throws a bunch of Metallica guitar picks into my pocket and a set list. And yeah, I brought James Hetfield's White Fang.
Well, here, wait.
Yeah,
put it up.
do that.
This one will autofocus, so we'll just like
look at that.
will it autofocus? No, it's not gonna. Is it gonna?
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Look at that.
And I don't know if that's an exact one that he played, but they have buckets and buckets of picks. And I was like, ooh, this is actually a really good pick. I like the shape and the size.
I think we sell that pick because I think they actually.
Yeah. I thought that was awesome. So basically, we're walking down this tunnel entrance into the stadium.
Yeah.
And Five Finger Death Punch had just played, and they like walked past us, and everyone's freaking out. And I was like, okay.
I have a good story about that band.
Oh, great. I know that a lot of the moms who take their kids to my kids' karate class like Five Finger Death Punch.
That's soccer mom.
I'm imagining that's how they sound. They sound like karate mom's favorite band. So we're walking, and I'm kind of like, I don't understand where we're going. And I'm like, I think we're going pretty close to like some kind of front row-ish sort of situation. And I'm like freaking out. And then I'm told, yeah, the snake pit is where we're going. That's what these wristbands mean. It's in the middle of the center of the stage. Like,
oh my God.
It's a circular stage.
Yeah, I've seen that.
We are standing in the middle of it with some people who have spent a lot of money, maybe even their like years worth of life savings
oh my God.
to be there. And we're basically right up James Hetfield's butt. And like you can walk around and follow the band as they move around different parts of the set. You can hang out by Lars. You can get close to Kirk when he's doing a solo. And I didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But it was then though that I realized, A, we're in the presence of like the fathers of metal.
Yeah, yeah.
2, this is one of the biggest bands that's ever been.
Yeah.
And 3, I'm a way bigger Metallica fan than I realized. Like my whole life, they've been in and out of my life. I mean, one of the first VHS videos I ever bought, or one of the first VHS tapes I ever saw. Wow, I need to start that over. It's not one of the first. Was
Ernest Scared Stupid?
That was certainly one of them. I showed my kid that movie the other day. My first taste of Metallica, I was in my friend's basement, and he had an older brother that was away at college.
Yeah.
And they had like the Making of the Black Album VHS and I think it was like the making of the video for One.
Yeah.
And he had both of those. And I was kind of like, ooh, I know I'm not really supposed to be into Metallica. I know that they're kind of a gnarly thing.
Yeah.
So I watched them both, and I was like, ooh, I'm in. I was probably like 8, 9 years old. And from that point on, becoming a guitar player, we learned Seek and Destroy for like our, I think it was our 8th grade talent show. There's all this stuff.
Epic.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it was all because one teacher was like, you should play Seek and Destroy. And we were like, play what? And he's like, it's old Metallica. Go check it out. And I was like, all right. And then, me and my bass player like got online, dial up took forever. Looked up the tabs, figured it out. And we were like, this is sick. Like, it's pretty cool to shred like that. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was really good.
Cool. I told you I saw your like Instagram story with it. And I was like, oh, somebody I know went to Metallica. Because a ton of people I know were there. And then all of a sudden, like, it flips around and it's you singing along. I'm like, oh, Nick went.
Yeah, I was telling you a little earlier, but my brother and we were basically like, let's enjoy this as much as we can. Let's take selfies of each other. Let's be in the videos. Let's keep our phones out. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many times I've been like, oh, all these people with their phones, they're not living in the moment. But I was like, dude, this is Metallica. Everybody's having a good time. This will be cool regardless.
Yeah.
So 85% of the set I'm watching. And then for those moments, I was like, I'm taking out my phone. I don't care.
I mean, you weren't playing Candy Crush, right?
No. Yeah, there was also like no service, which was wild. Being in the very smack dab middle of a stadium, like there was an X where the middle was.
Yeah.
And I was on there quite a few times. It was kind of panic-inducing, being like, I am the last one that can leave.
Yeah. No, they probably would get the band out, so you could probably just like hold onto his leg, James's leg, and they get him out, and he just drags you.
I'll grab the other end of his flying V and just like get dragged out of there. But yeah, it was very cool experience. And they were like walking around the stage at the end, kind of saying bye to the audience and saying thanks to their own crew.
Yeah.
Because it was the last U.S. date of the tour. So they like spent a little extra time out there talking into microphones. And you could just see everybody in the stadium like leaving, spilling out. And they didn't let our section out until probably 10 minutes after the band had left the stage even.
Oh, yeah.
So we were like stuck in there for a long time, probably for security reasons. But yeah, and then I ended up getting home at like 1:45 a.m. and it's
very late
school
for
night
me.
for my kids. Yeah, and I was just like, oh boy. So kind of made me feel young again. Made me feel good. Yeah.
So I have a quick Five Finger Death Punch story.
All right.
Just that they were at the casino here one time a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, and one of the guys is just like, "Hey, yeah, the drummer for Five Finger Death Punch was in this morning." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "Yeah, he just hung out for like half an hour and just like walked around the store. He just didn't want to be there and on the bus, so he just wanted somewhere to go. So he stopped by." And I was like, "So what did he do?" They're like, "Oh, we had like a Hello Kitty like drum set or some like kit. We had some used drum kit for like no amount of money." They're like, "Yeah, he got up there and played that for like 5 minutes and laughed his ass off." And I was like, "Did you guys like pull a phone out and videotape that?" And they're like, "Nah." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like I would have loved that." Like the back of the store, just like killing it on like a tiny child's drum set.
That's an incredible thing. You don't see that every day. So that's special.
That's funny. Yeah, I was like, I don't know that guy, but he must have a sense of humor to just go to a random music store and beat the shit out of a kid's drum set for fun in the middle of a day.
Oh, I love that. Especially like knowing that like there's not like a ton of fans watching. Like he's doing that for himself. Yeah. Like that's great. That's
it was usually that's something that annoys us. So yeah, it's very much for him and no one else. You want to talk about The Thing? We've been working on this for a while.
Yes, it has been in the works. We finally
before the Wonderwall.
Yeah, that was a pre-Wonderwall idea. And then things just got so busy and the art sort of changed hands, and then who was making the enclosures changed hands, and then I finally got the enclosures and they looked even better than we thought they would.
So we did, because when we were talking, I was like, we should do a Bees Cat pedal. We both did it. And then we're like, we're going to do the Onedercat. And then I was like, when I was a kid, ThunderCats was on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And we did the Sword of Omens.
I was big into the ThunderCats toys. Yeah. My brother and I...
Like the tank thing?
We had a bunch of... Since it was a little bit before our time, we had all like garage sale finds of those toys. And like I feel like we had a babysitter who had a brother that they had a bunch of them. But yeah, my brother and I, we were always more into the toys from the cartoon, no matter what it was. You know, Ninja Turtles.
It was intentional. They did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a big old grift, but it made us all happy.
Yeah.
Same thing with like He-Man, like we were always just playing with the toys. But yeah, ThunderCats, Onedercat, it's my Wonderbolt distortion circuit. And yeah, the Sword of Omens being on it, up the middle, I just love it. It almost has this like pinstripey, cool, centered vibe, and it's so cool, especially on that green.
Yeah.
And
the first draft had all the ThunderCats colors in it, and you go, this looks like a clown. And we were like, yeah, you're right.
I was like, I think less is more is going to work here. So, I mean, there was even like my little arrow and gain squiggly, they were like redrawn in like a ThunderCat style, and I was like, "Oh boy!" Like I've lost.
Aiden did this. Aiden McCourt that used to work here. So because Aiden's been gone for like months now.
Oh wow!
Because we were like, we've been working on it, going back and forth, and then like Aiden moved to Maine. He's a lobster fisherman now.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Good transition. Like a lot of those lobster fishermen, they start off making artwork for guitar pedals
and they transition to lobsterism.
Get into crustaceans. Yeah. But yeah, trapping them in cages and such. But it's just one of my the circuit, the Wonderbolt circuit. It's changed names as well. It started off as the Wonder Drive, which was kind of what started this company for me. A 2-knob, 1-switch pedal, and I loved it. It was kind of a freak accident, a happy accident making it at all. And then after it got popular, I kind of realized there are a couple things that I can do to make this a little bit more usable and more versatile. So I added the tone knob, the third knob, the brightness knob. And then there's a Mark 1 and a Mark 2 switch on it, which Mark 1 is like the old Wonder Drive sound, and Mark 2 is kind of my newer, I would call it the Wonderbolt mode. A little bit more gain, a little bit more top end.
Yeah.
And then, the same old plus and minus diodes or no diodes selection.
Oh, is that what it is? It's diodes, no diodes?
Yeah.
I feel like I should know all this stuff.
Well, the plus, I mean, it's actually, you would think that means with diodes, but plus just means more.
Because the diodes choke it.
Yes.
So,
so it's a little reverse, but the plus is op-amp only clipping, and you can kind of get into like a fuzz territory with the gain cranked. And then the minus is kind of a weird combination of diodes that, when I was messing around with the circuit, it sounded really vintagey and kind of mid-rangey and just very different from the other setting. A lot of pedals, the 2 different diodes or 3 different diodes, it's like, oh, which one do I like better? They kind of sound different. Like, these sound pretty insanely different. And that's the switch that I called the Billy switch. So Billy Gibbons is the minus and Billy Corgan is the plus. So you can play your ZZ Top riffs, the vintagey stuff, roll the gain back a little, or you can just crank the gain, go right into the Corgan mode, which I'm not going to say that in writing because I don't want to get sued by anybody. But, because
he does watch the show.
Billy?
Yeah.
I really like what you do. If you would please let me put your face on the pedal instead of the plus sign, that would be great.
I could just put it in there really tiny.
Put a little Billy there, and then maybe put Billy Gibbons on the top, and it's going to be hard to fit.
He'll put his name on anything, I think, in our industry.
He's got boots.
He does. He have boots?
Yep, I get Instagram.
Do they scoot?
No, I don't think they do.
They don't scoot?
I think they stay in one place, and they're just so badass. Like, I don't think that they move at all.
Yeah.
They don't boogie.
The earth comes to him when he wears them.
They boogie. They don't scoot, though. They boogie. But, I got an Instagram ad for, like, Billy Gibbons boots. And, like, I'm not someone who really, like, is a cowboy boot kind of guy. But it made me want to be. For $350, I could look like Billy Gibbons. Like, cool.
In middle age, I get the internet. Does the internet ever, like, test you for a new hobby? Because that's what, like, that feels like to me. It's like, are you... I think you could be the kind of guy who would buy Billy Gibbons boots. And you're like, that's how you see me, internet.
It's turning me into... It's giving me fashion ideas. That's for sure. Well, one time there was like I looked at like one ad to see what it was all about. And it was all like mouth tape, like for when you're sleeping, you tape your mouth. Yeah. And it's supposed to make you like hack your system and breathe like a god and sleep and feel younger. And I was like, this is real? Is this a real thing? And it kind of makes sense. Like the science behind it, like you want to breathe out your nose instead of out your mouth and mess up your... the inside of your mouth.
You want to sleep like a hostage. That's how you get like the good... Because you wake up and you're like full of adrenaline. Called. You're like, I got to get out of here.
Are you familiar? That's what the company's called, hostage tape.
No, I didn't know that. Yes. I just that's all I could imagine.
And then there was like a Joe Rogan clip of him talking about taping your mouth or something. And since I watched that, then for a while I got ads about like this little rubber thing you put in your mouth and chew. And it's like a jaw workout thing.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, yeah, you think like dieting will help your face look better? No, you got to chew on this rubber ball all day, and then you'll get like a great looking jaw in 2 weeks. And I was like, what?
I feel like your dentist is going to be like, please don't do this.
It's like, sir, have you been chewing on rubber? Yeah. Have you been chewing on dog toys? No. I got this cool Joe Rogan jaw device.
Why are you taking advice from Joe fucking Rogan?
Yeah, Joe knows me. He knows I want to tape my mouth with the ball gag, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I want to live my life. But yeah, I stopped getting those. And now I'm getting, things like Billy Gibbons boots. And also I get Jason, what's his name? Jason Momoa.
Oh.
I'm getting like his sunglasses ads. Oh. And I was like, these are awesome. And they're like $400. And I'm like, that's a little too awesome for me.
During COVID, like late COVID, like late lockdown, there was like a period where the internet decided. You ever see those like people who like they get into like racing or like they build like gaming rigs in their house? And I don't even have a gaming computer. I'm like a Mac guy. I play a PS5. I don't need to build anything. That's cool. People who do that, but I've never been that person.
I just want to put in the game and play it. I don't feel like getting there the long way.
I can barely get there sometimes with the amount of time I have.
Yeah.
And it was like, are you gonna build a home racing racing rig. Like it was like, here's the steering wheel and the pedals and the seat. And I would get all these ads from different companies. And like you, I like clicked on one out of curiosity. And I was like, the internet has decided I might be the kind of guy who would build an entire like Mario Andretti like cockpit in my house. It's like, here's a $400 steering wheel. And like these pedals feel real and have tactile response. And I'm like, that's cool objectively, but I can't imagine spending like $4,000 on a cockpit.
If you weren't so busy, I could see you being like, it's time to be a gaming racer and devote a whole room in your house to it. You know, like it's one of those things. Like I would probably do that too. Sometimes you need to be told about a hobby, and you need to be told like, here's all the stuff you need for it that you didn't think was possible.
And that's what the internet does.
Oh yeah, it's they know us so well. But some when they don't know us, it's great. Like it's a lot of fun. I got a lot of those fat guy shirt ads.
Yeah, I get those too because we're middle aged, and they're like, "Are you getting a gut?" Because
it's like, oh, babes will want to touch your shoulders if you're wearing this shirt that's longer in the front, so they can't see your belly.
Isn't that like a timid or is
it's like
I think you should leave like the tummy tuggers,
the TC tuggers.
Yeah, the TC tuggers.
No, that's really what these ads are like. And like you read the comments, and it's great because everybody's just mean, and they're like, just go to the gym if you think you need a shirt like this. And then other people are like, there's just a little bit more fabric in the front. Like, why is this like a special shirt? And then I'm like, cool, I'm buying it. And I bought a 3-pack. And you know what? It's not necessarily to like hide anything. They just fit really well. You know, I was like, all right. And I think there's a million different companies making them. They're all branded under something different, but they're all the same factory. And I got these cool shorts over COVID break. Call it COVID break. It's more positive.
Yeah. COVID break.
Yeah, back in COVID break.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I got some good shorts. They're not good anymore. They didn't really last. Like they're like sweat shorts, and they had an Italian flag like little tag thing on them, I think, or something that looked like that. So they felt like they were expensive.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's kind of where I am with my IG ads. But
so the Onedercat. You know, I don't know. You know, we went down some tangents there.
Should we make some noise on it?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll start with the old. We'll start with like the clipping diodes Mark I, and then the thing about the old Wonder Drive is the bright knob was all the way up.
Okay, so that puts you back to the original circuit.
This is very much like Wonder Drive circuit. And then that's kind of the Billy Gibbons. Billy Corgan, you know, turn up the gain a little bit, and then you got the... Yeah. You can kind of roll down the tone, you know, for that. It gets a little brighter.
Yeah. That tone would have been like an op-amp muff. I know it's not really a muff circuit, but you know, that's like, it gets you there.
I've had people tell me that op-amp clipping setting with the gain cranked on their Wonder Drive or Wonder Bolt, they were like, yeah, that became my new muff sound, even though it's not a muff, because it actually has a little bit of presence and it cuts through.
Yeah, it wouldn't have that wacky tone that they put in those.
Yeah, there's definitely like a weird little... kind of tone sweep on those, and that's what's in my Wonderwall pedal.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want this on one side of my Wonderwall, and then my sort of muff style circuit on the other. So you get the best of both worlds. Chill it out, take it slow, then you rock out the show. Hannah Montana.
I'm still pushing for the. You kept like coming up with ideas for other Wonderwall, and I was like, I think you need to do the like fake paneling. That was I still think
I love that
could work
because I did like the Red Rider pedals with the woody faceplate, and like wood just looks good. Wood is good,
but like bad like 70s housing.
Love that.
It's good. It's just,
like the Waynes.
That's growing up in Michigan. That's
the wainscoting, whatever it's called. Like the half wall in the basement. Like it's very much a thing.
Yeah,
I think it was RJ Ronquillo, that guitar player, demoer guy. He was posting pictures. He grew up in Detroit. I think he's in Nashville now. And he posted some pictures of him when he was younger playing in his basement. And it was like the Michigan basement.
Nice.
Like it was that same wood paneling, and it was like some, you know, late 80s looking tapestries on a couch that looks like it would like
Wayne's World.
It would give you like slivers if you sat on it.
Yeah.
It was like totally that. And I was like, wow, that was a time and a place. But yeah, so the Mark 1, it's a little bit less gain, a little bit less top end.
Yeah.
And I really like the Mark II setting on the minus setting over there because it kind of lets that choked diode vintage sound breathe a little bit more. It gives it a little bit more snap. It's very weird and cool playing a V-shaped guitar.
And that's a Volcano. It's a rare. Those are the
can't get these anymore.
No, that Gibson shut that down.
Yeah, but it's a 3 pickup gold and black one.
I bought it to make a Black Beauty out of.
It is so cool.
If you pull the middle volume, that's what turns on the mid pickup.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I'm a tech, so I build it all like in my brain. I mean, I was a guitar tech 20-some years ago. So if you go, you can't have it by itself, but you can add it. You can either do all 3 or like the 2 necks. If you go in the neck and then. And it's, I think it's Nuevo 90s, 2 Nuevo 90s and a Hyper Vintage.
That is
if I remember right. So
very cool. Yeah, it sounds really cool with this pedal too. So
yeah,
these rail hammers are a little bit hotter than most pickups that I use. Like we use these in the Wonder guitars too, and I've actually told my guys we need to start setting our pickup height to kind of simulate that it's closer to another guitar because being a pedal builder, I want my guitars to sound really good going through my pedals. And if you're putting really hot pickups into some of my pedals, it's going to overdrive them a little early, you know, things like that. They might get a little squishy. So yeah, setting the pickup height, like you can still get the benefits of the tone and then kind of reduce a little bit of that output, get you some more headroom. And yeah, it's a really nice
pickup output is an interesting thing. Ken and I were talking about that when we were sitting down in here because like people always think more, but like man, sometimes when you back it down and pull it away, like I was showing you, I really like gold foils and some of those are like very low output pickups, but they have so much like dynamic range and stuff.
And they love fuzz. Yeah. Like when you put that kind of lower output or even like the low impedance pickups into like a fuzz pedal, it's like whoa, what's this? And it really comes alive. And then, like even my Red Rider pedal, when I was developing that, I was playing, I think it was like a Reeves Gabrel's dirt bike guitar.
Yeah, and that is a super hot pickup in it.
Super hot. And I was testing my Red Rider before it came out, and it kept squishing the tone. And I was like, no, like don't squish. Like this is a distortion pedal. It was like compressing. So I ended up, instead of just lowering my pickup or changing the guitar, I changed the circuit on the pedal to be happier with a higher, hotter pickup.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. It made it a little bit different than, it's sort of a rat-based pedal. There was a couple things that I changed that made it way more unique and it feels different. It sounds different. So yeah, it's sometimes, messing with different pickups when you're trying to come up with like a different, something different for a pedal. It's nice to test all the waters.
Yeah, because especially like you got to think like you might have 10 guitars in your house, which is probably more than that.
I got something like 10.
Something like 10.
Yeah.
But like, you get people like you're not going to have the same guitars as anyone that buys your pedals. I mean, no one's going to have those same collection of guitars. And like some guys, I think they use one guitar the whole way. Like you really got to go in and try it in like every avenue of what every player could potentially try.
Yeah. Like one thing I did not have, at least I don't think I have, is an active pickup guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm working on a pedal with a band right now, and they were like, hey, have you tried this with active pickups? And I was like, that's actually a great question, because no.
Yeah.
I've done it with different amps, with different pickups, like single coil, humbucker, P90, whatever. But luckily, active pickup did not make much of a difference. Yeah. It sounded super good. So
was it Fluences or EMGs?
Ooh,
It's always one or the other.
Yeah, it was the Fishman.
Yeah, those sound
pickups.
so close to like passive. Like I feel like EMGs can act different. Sometimes they're the older 8185s, but like the Fishmans, I feel like they seem to run right down the same path that passive pickups like a lot of times. But
yeah, I think next year, you know, talking about that band and a couple other things, like I'm diving into heavy metal world next year pretty hard. I've kind of been overdrive fuzzy guy for the past 3 years, and that's great. It's a lot of fun. Actually, this circuit on this Less Than Jake pedal, which we'll talk about soon, the dirt channel on this is kind of my most amp-like distortion yet. So the other ones are kind of more overdrives, more of like a vintage style distortion, whatever. This one is very much like if I was in my band touring, playing pop punk, punk rock, whatever, that would be like the pedal that I threw in front of the clean amp to get my sound. Like if I didn't have like my high gain amp head or something. So kind of going from there, there's a couple more pedals that I'm working on that have that kind of same topology. One's another collaboration with the band, and then the other one is going to be kind of because I am discontinuing the Red Rider pedal.
Yeah, are you really making the Wonderbolt right now? Because I feel like you made a short run. We got a couple of them when you did the Wonderwall, and then I haven't seen you really do much with them. And because I feel like this might be the only one you're making right now.
It is. I have like a handful at your store.
Yeah.
And I have probably 2 or 3 at my house. I put them out when I made the Wonderwall because there were people that were like, I want a standalone, basically the next gen of your Wonder Drive.
Yeah.
And I was like, sweet, here we go. I haven't done a single demo for it.
Yeah.
And there's not a manual for it. And I feel a little bit silly because you're supposed to be selling these for me at your store, and I haven't told anybody that they even exist.
No, we haven't talked about it because we kept being like, we're gonna do them. We were gonna do them for Earthquaker Day, and that was August 6th.
For those ones, yeah.
Yeah, we were like, that was our original target when we talked about was that.
Yeah.
And then that was like a while ago.
I know. It's almost the next year.
Well,
but we got all the parts and we're ready to roll.
We got it.
And I'm happy with the circuit. And then, I'm probably not going to make any more Wonderbolts, to be honest, for a while until I come up with like a new sort
Mark
of
3.
Well, I don't know.
2025, you're going to come back around. You're going to chunk for a year.
I'll have an 8-way rotary switch with Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4.
You're going to go the Muffaletta.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Wonderetta.
It's going to be all different versions of just like one resistor at a time. You can't even notice the difference. But yeah, when these come out,
put goop in it.
I should start gooping my pedals. But I'll be gooping my pedals not so people don't steal my stuff, but so people don't know that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Or like you remember like that like slime, like you should just fill it with slime and see if it still works.
Nickelodeon GAC.
Yes, GAC. That's exactly.
GAC, and then they had Floam, which I feel like was around for a while. I liked Floam a lot because it wasn't that messy. It was like styrofoam with like a little bit of like adhesive in it, basically. It will ruin your carpet.
It's like whatever made styrofoam worse for the environment, they're like, just mix some of that in.
Yeah. And I remember I wanted this stuff called Smud. They made Smud for a minute, and I was like, this is like the new thing. It's way cooler. And then I don't think that was a thing for more than, had to be a couple months.
When I was a kid, they had these little monster faces, and they were like, I can't remember what they were called, but they made a series of them. This is, because I grew up in the Garbage Pail Kids era, like the original OG Garbage Pail Kids era.
Were they Mad Balls?
Were they the ones that stunk? Like you'd squeeze them and like they were known to stink.
I think
they were before those.
These were like balls with like a crazy looking like monster face.
That was later. Okay, the original ones, if I'm wrong, they would like almost like a pig noise when you'd squeeze them. But their thing was like they stink. And
I don't remember that being a gimmick that they like promoted, but wow.
I think it was with the original ones. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there was before that because that came out like 5 years later. But the original ones was like, hey, get these for your kids. It's great. They stink. And they'd like smell like farts.
Oh,
and like
terrible.
Because that's in the 80s what childhood was like, we'll give you a ball. And the fun part is that it stinks.
Hey, marketing. I should do that with my pedals.
Like they stink.
Just be like, this will smell like complete ass if you open up the back. And like you'll wonder Effects. You'll wonder
why.
Wonder why this smells so bad. That'll be the name of the pedal. And it'll just be like my dog's poop. in every enclosure.
Do you know a funny thing that's in, people stick things in their pedals and write things on the inside. What is his name? Not Matthews Effects. It's Matterverse. He makes he makes like the air trash and stuff. We were a dealer for him for a long time when he had dealers, and he's a really cool guy. And if you ever open up his pedals, there's like a little plastic like dinosaur or like reptile in every one of them.
That's so cool.
He puts them in there for tone, and he just must buy like grosses of them somewhere, and he just sticks them in before they're done just to be weird.
That's great.
I love that.
I always wish I came up with something like that. Like I'm always like, oh, I should do something cool with. Because for a while when I got started, I was thinking about buying a typewriter and writing a quick hand-typed note and putting it with every pedal. Like, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. I hope you dig it. And then I sold like 10 pedals at once, one time, and I was like, ooh, I don't think I can write 10 letters.
This is why they invented the copier.
Yes, I'm going to fax everybody a nice note, the new technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that comes out,
it's going to come out soon. I think we're going to do it as you get done building them. I think we're going to do them. So
yeah, it'll either be December or January, whenever we'll probably just
release this the same time. So we'll just be like, check it out. Here's it. We're talking about it. So it's happening now, probably, if we're putting this out. Because I get secretive about these because today we're coming out with the Space First, which is the Alexander Space Force. Last week we did the Science Fur. Everything, all these things. We started working on the Space Force at NAMM, or started talking about it at NAMM.
Oh wow!
And then the Science Fur was we talked to Mark about it at Earthquaker Day.
Yeah.
And like everything clown card in, we're like, everybody's like, hey, I got this ready. And I'm like, okay. Like you were like, hey, we finally got the clothes. I'm like, good news.
I know.
Everybody at once.
I've had those boards set aside. I ordered specifically like 25 or 30 boards for this like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And then the enclosures didn't pop in until like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, oh yeah, about that. But yeah, that'll be the only Wonderbolt available. We're doing it. And it has a sword of omens and a cat.
A cat and a sword.
And it just looks so cool.
It's sour apple.
I love that.
I do like that.
Illusion sour apple.
It is illusion sour apple. 2
stages of powder coat. That's how they get you. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, pick it up. Buy it. BeesMusicShop.com. All right, you want to talk about this Less Than Jake pedal?
Yes.
So you have a pedal. You have this Less Than Jake pedal. You've been talking about this for a while. It finally came out.
Yes.
You did it.
And it's called All My Best Friends Are Pedalheads, named after their song, All My Best Friends Are Metalheads.
And I love that the day before you go, I hope people buy this for the original release.
Yes.
You text me and you're like, I really hope this does well. And then you were like selling it like, what is 11 a.m. or something? And then at like 11:10, I saw a 4-minute old post to go, thanks for buying all of them. And I just texted you, fuck you.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody will like these at all. Sold out in 6 minutes.
My gauge of whether people were going to like them went up and down so many different times.
Yeah.
When we talked about making this pedal with the band, I was like, they're going to sell like hotcakes. People are really going to like these. And then the band kept saying like, are you sure you want to do 100? That's a lot of pedals to just sit on the shelf if it doesn't do well.
Yeah.
They were like, we did a snowboard and like, they were like, it didn't sell as fast as we wanted. And those are expensive, but they're like, these, I was selling them for $199 for the first price, $200.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a fan to pay for something from a band they like. And they're like, that's a lot of money. We can't just expect everybody to buy all of our merch. And I was like, I understand, but the pedal world is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And there's never been, as far as I know, there might have been a ska pedal at some point. Maybe. I
don't know of any.
And Tim Armstrong from Rancid did like a super small, limited, like hand-built, hand-painted release for like a punk and a ska pedal at some point.
Oh, really?
And yeah, but they're not available. They're collector's pieces. And I was like, we're going to make a punk and ska pedal. That's like a toggle switch on a 2-channel amp. And we did 100 for the first batch that, I'm actually currently building, and it's a lot of work. But yeah, they sold out in 6 minutes, and I was completely freaked out. So, I actually texted the band and I was like, are we opening a pre-order for batch 2? And they were like, yes. We'll strike while the iron's hot. You want to, not to sound like a complete, capitalist, but take everybody's money before they get different ideas.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, let's put up batch 2, say it's coming out in early 2024, and sold dang near 150 more. So
wow.
We are very happy. We're really happy that so many people wanted it. It's a lot of work coming up for me, which is kind of a little bit stressful, but I'm also very happy. Like, I want to work hard. You know, it makes me feel good to work hard. I've literally been set up in front of my TV at home in my living room with a little computer desk that we had, and I plugged in all my soldering stuff, and I've been watching movies and Boy Meets World reruns and things like that. Topanga. That's going to be my new pedal. I'm going to come up with like a Topanga pedal.
There was something similar to that from Caitlin Brett, I think. Topeka?
Was a Topeka pedal?
Something, I don't know.
Topeka and Corey wouldn't have been the most beautiful couple, I don't think.
Yeah,
but yeah, I've just been building pedals like go nonstop.
Dude, I mean, not everybody's had a hit this year. That's it's great. You're doing great.
And thank you. I'm very happy. And
Wonderwall was a hit. I mean, people love that pedal. You've had a lot of pedals that people got on board for and loved.
Yeah, so. I'm happy that I did something right and that people put their trust in me to make something cool. Because like all people heard from this Less Than Jake pedal was like a couple quick demo clips that I made, and then Matt over at Ambient Trash. He's kind of known for doing these like emo finger tappy indie kind of song demos that people really love. And I knew that he was a secret ska kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, like Less Than Jake pedal. And he was like, 100% absolutely, let's do this. And he actually got like punk guitar, ska upstrokes, and his partner played trombone on the track. And I was like, this is incredible. So I had a lot of great people in our corner. And, you know, my thanks to Less Than Jake for giving me that phone call.
Yeah.
You know, I basically got a phone call from Chris, their singer and guitar player, and he was just like, I saw that article about you in Spin Magazine. It's so cool that you're doing this. Let's do a pedal together if you're down. And I was like, a ska-punk pedal would be so cool, so fun. Yeah. Because that's like where I come from, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm like an old Warped Tour kid, and I loved all the old punk rock compilations. Like that was my world. And my band toured with Less Than Jake several times.
Yeah.
Even before my band toured with them, I played bass in a band called A Wilhelm Scream. And that was my first tour ever. They pulled me out of college. I went on tour and Less Than Jake was headlining. So I got to meet them there and basically be shown the ropes by one of my favorite bands growing up, you know? The fact that it's been, I don't know how many years, we're at like almost 18 years since then.
Wow.
And now we're making a pedal together, and I'm just super stoked, and I hope people dig it a lot. You know, it's kind of a cool thing to toggle between all that.
All right, man. Yeah, let's hear this thing.
So yeah, clean tone kind of, and then when you flip on the pedal, we're on the blue channel, which is just this blue knob. It says ska next to it.
That's just this.
Yep, and this toggle switch. So this is kind of a nice little boost. It kind of compresses it a little bit, adds some spank to it. And then you flip that up, and that kind of becomes your dirty ska. So I think that sounds really good on like a neck pickup. So
yeah.
So yeah, just a great little chimey, tight tone. And then when you hit, this is the on and off right here.
Yeah.
The whole pedal on and off. So if you want to use another pedal or, you know, just bypass your signal, sure. I don't know why you would. This is sweet.
Never turn it off.
But then this right here toggles between the blue and the yellow channel. So it's like an amplifier. You're going from ska to punk back and forth. You play your verse, ska, chorus comes up, and then
nice.
So yeah, it's kind of a really fun, unique little
design. Does this do something when it's in yellow mode, or it's just, so it's just blue over here, yellow over here? And what's the controls on this? Sorry, I can't see the front of it.
Oh, it's all good. They're kind of hard to see unless you're right on top of it. But yeah, so this one says ska, which is really the ska volume.
Yeah.
This one says punk, which is the amount of punk channel, essentially volume.
Yeah.
And then gain, tone, and presence.
Okay.
And what's really cool about this dirt channel over here, it's very amp-like.
Yeah.
It's kind of my ideal distortion. I really love it. You can tweak the tone and presence kind of back and forth, like back off on the tone, turn up the presence, turn up the tone, back off on the presence. You can sort of sculpt the sound a little bit differently. So it's not just like a one type of tone knob and you find that sweet spot and move on. You can kind of find, you can get a little bit more scoopy feeling. You can get it a little bit more mid-rangey depending on where you put those two.
Together and against each other a little bit to kind of move around.
Because I have another version of this circuit that I'm working on that has bass, mid, treble. I think there was like diode selection. Sorry, learning how to talk again. And then presence as well. And when I was talking to Chris from Less Than Jake, he was just like, yeah, and one thing I'm thinking for all this is just simple.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, time to get rid of some knobs. Let's get rid of the diode switch because like I know exactly which one I would play in Less Than Jake. So it's all dialed into what I would use if I was playing in their band.
And the band liked it, so I mean.
Yes. And when I recorded the demos in my studio for it, I had my brother, who's a drummer, play the drums for the Less Than Jake songs. And then I even played bass. And their bass is pretty like difficult. Like I kind of had to learn how to play cool walkie ska bass lines, and then playing the guitar over it, I was like, oh wow, like these tones.
Great.
I was like, these tones match the band very well. So yeah, not just a little gimmick fan pedal. It's something that a band could bring on tour and use. Even if you're not in a ska-punk band, I actually told someone, a commenter was like, whoa, that distortion sounds really good, but I play heavy music. And I was like, that's one of the tricks about punk rock and pop punk is they're using metal amps with the gain turned down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people try to take an old Marshall, put a tube screamer in front of it to try to get those palm mutes and the chugs.
Yeah.
But really, if you take a 5150 or a Mesa dual rec and you just turn that gain down, you'll find that spot. Like it's rock and roll. So it's kind of a fun little thing that even when I was in my band, like I played a crank head on tour. Like we're on tour with Paramore and I'm playing a crank head and everyone's like, oh, your tone's great. And I'm like, you have no idea what's back behind my road case right now. It's like the metalist looking thing. It's like a dime bag amp basically.
That's really all they make. Are they even still in business?
I'm actually not sure. I've been looking.
I haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, they make a pedal called they made a pedal called the Distortus Maximus.
That seems right.
And it was like based on their Rev 1 amp, which is what I played. And it sounds great, but yeah, I don't think that they're, if they exist, it's in a different form. I think like maybe somebody else owns them but yeah.
Everybody kind of goes to the nether in these things.
It's hard to be a competitor.
A person.
And it's hard to be a human being on this starship Earth. But yeah, super stoked about Less Than Jake. Basically, I mean, at this point, they are all sold out and spoken for.
Yeah, I was going to hit you up for one a couple weeks ago, and then I was like, I saw your pre-order. I was like, yeah, I'll get one.
Well,
when he's
I might have some. I'm going to actually hit up my supplier and get some extras because I know that that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I know that friends are going to be like, oh, what the heck? Because I already have one of my best buds, Dan Soap. Yeah, he's a big collector of like all things punk and ska and hardcore. And I told him I was going to give him one. If you're watching, Dan, I'll get you one. But yeah, I was like, oh no, where am I going to get this from? Do I have to give him one of mine? And I'm like, I don't really want to give up one of mine, but also I don't care. If I really wanted to make one of my pedals.
You can wait till February.
Yeah. We'll see if I'm still alive by then.
Just write number 1 on it and just be like, this is number 1.
I've done that before when people are like, hey, like, can I get one of these pedals, like an early serial number? And I'm like, well, I don't serialize my pedals anymore, but I'll write number 1 on yours and you can tell everyone that it's number 1.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel good. So
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's fun. Who cares?
It's true. But yeah, that's that.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to get out of here. You got kids to pick up.
Yeah.
Dad thing.
Got to do the dad thing.
I think if you have like 10 minutes, I'm going to try and get you on my tractor before you leave.
Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to have to take the tractor home instead of my car.
Let's do it.
I'm down to drive real slow, just enjoy life.
All right. Well, hey, it's Brian from Bees here with Nick from Wonder. Thank you.
Thank you.